Ivan. My husband. Once the top scorer in the college entrance examination, and now the CEO of a publicly listed company. Together, we possess assets worth over 100 billion yuan. We grew up as childhood sweethearts. But our marriage has been far from blissful. His temperament is violent. And after drinking, he often subjects me to brutal domestic abuse. I know he harbors deep resentment towards me for tearing him apart from his first love a decade ago. During yet another episode of his abuse, he gripped my neck tightly and snarled, "Autumn, just die already." In that moment of utter despair, I thought, if I must die, I might as well take him with me. Summoning all my strength, I pulled him with me as we plunged from the 30th floor, our bodies shattering upon impact. But when I opened my eyes again, I found that both of us had returned to the day before the college entrance exam. We had both been reborn. Ivan was son of in this life, I swear, you can chase after your first love. And I'll pursue my own splendid future. Autumn. Even without you, I'll still be the top scorer. And I'll still amass billions. But this time, you won't be able to come between me and my first love. These were the first words we exchanged upon meeting again in this new life. In our previous life, his first love was our classmate Serena. She was beautiful and came from a wealthy family 8-room socialite. However, her academic performance was lacking. She was consistently at the bottom of the class. But with her family's wealth, she never seemed to care. Ivan and I were different. We lived next door to each other and both came from single-parent households. I was raised by my mother, who ran a small business, while Ivan and his mother scraped by with her street vending. Before Serena entered the picture, Ivan was a good kid, sunny, respectful, intelligent, and hardworking. He ranked among the top 10 students in the school. But after meeting Serena, everything changed. He started skipping classes, getting into fights, and picked up smoking. In our senior year, I, who had harbored feelings for Ivan for a long time, couldn't bear to watch him spiral. I forced him to attend extra tutoring sessions, deleted Serena's calls from his phone, and even brought his mother along to disrupt their dates. This led Ivan to hold a grudge against me. You? The top scorer? Ivan. Let's compete fairly this time and see who comes out on top. Autumn. You'll always be beneath me. It was true in our past life, and it will be true in this one. In our previous life, just before the college entrance exam, Ivan complained to me, "Autumn, don't you have any sense? My grades have always been lower than yours. Can't you let me surpass you just once to make my mom happy?" During the exam, I don't know what came over me, perhaps it was a moment of foolish affection, but I intentionally filled out my answer sheet incorrectly. My final score was significantly lower than usual, by about 60 points. Which coincidentally matched Ivan's typical score. I thought he would be pleased. But to my surprise, Ivan's results came back 40 points higher than his usual, making him the top scorer in the city. Autumn. I didn't expect you to perform so poorly. See? With just a bit of effort, I not only surpassed you, but left you far behind. His arrogant tone and disdainful expression are etched into my memory. This time, Ivan, I won't make the same mistake. Ivan. Just wait and see. The outcome is still uncertain. Autumn. I'm telling you, you're not worthy. This year's top scorer position is mine. With that, Ivan turned and headed to the exam hall. I followed behind, staring at his back, a surge of anger rising within me. The day after the exam, Ivan's mother was already boasting to the neighbors, claiming her son was the top scorer in Zhongcheng City. Oh my! Look at my Ivan. So promising. He's like a reincarnation of the god of literature. This year's top scorer title is definitely his. Congratulations, Ivan's mom. You've really raised a remarkable son. He'll surely earn you a fortune in the future. Ivan is also very filial. You're in for a life of comfort, Ivan's mom. Indeed, Ivan is destined for greatness. The neighbors chimed in with their praises. Overhearing this, I couldn't help but think Ivan was being overly optimistic. Giving his mother such high hopes, what if things didn't turn out as expected? Just then, my mom pulled me along to go grocery shopping. and we ran into Ivan at the door. Autumn. With your 560 points. Are you still planning to attend Zhongqing Normal University? Ivan sneered. Ivan. Isn't it a bit premature to be declaring yourself the top scorer? What if something unexpected happens and your mom ends up disappointed? I teased him, genuinely concerned about his mother's potential heartbreak. There are still over 20 days before the results are announced. I deliberately raised my voice to remind her. My mom nudged me with her elbow, signaling me to keep quiet. Ivan's mom took my hand and said, Autumn, you're a good kid. But your temper needs some work. Even if your scores aren't as good as Ivan's. If you end up with him, you should strive to improve. Oh, come on. It's not like I'm determined to be with Ivan. Let me make this clear in front of everyone, Ivan and I are just classmates. Not even friends. Besides, he already has a girlfriend. Didn't you know? His girlfriend? Who is she? Serena. Our classmate, the one who's always at the bottom of the class rankings. At that moment, Ivan quickly pulled me aside, pointed a finger at my nose, veins bulging, and said, Autumn, I'm warning you, mind your own business. What? You still want to control me in this life too? It seemed that no matter how many chances he got at life, Ivan's violent temper would never change. Relax. I wouldn't bother with you even if I had nothing better to do. Do I look that idle to you? I wasn't scared of him at all. In this lifetime, I swore I'd never be anyone's pushover. I'm out of here. No time to waste on you. I'm going on a date with Serena. Ivan looked smug. Bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Honestly, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. Just looking at him felt like it would give me a sty. Wow. The sun must be rising from the west. Autumn's really not interfering anymore. Ivan muttered as he walked off. I thought to myself, Ivan, isn't this exactly what you always wanted? In this life. Serena still looked like a classic rich girl. Their so-called date was nothing but a shopping spree with Ivan footing the bill. Of course. In the mall. His hands were already full of shopping bags. But Serena was still buying more. After a symphony of swiping cards and a rhythmic chirping of the POS machine, Ivan's wallet was already hurting. But Serena, still full of enthusiasm, began talking about her dreams of becoming a movie star. Ivan, with my looks and everything, don't you think I should be in films? If I get the chance, would you support me? Serena blinked her large eyes at him. Of course I would. You're the most beautiful girl in the world. I'll always support you. I just know you'll be a big star someday. Ivan said excitedly. Then come sign me up. There's an audition upstairs for a female lead. They say if you pay for training and pass the evaluation, you can shoot ads first and then maybe land a movie role. Wouldn't it be a shame to miss such a great opportunity? Serena leaned sweetly on Ivan's shoulder. How much is the training fee? I'll pay. I'll support your dreams. No matter what. Ivan blurted out. Then he remembered he was no longer the billionaire tycoon. Standing in front of Serena now was a broke guy. His face fell. Serena. We've already spent so much. There's nothing left on my card. Can we wait a little before paying for the course? Wait. You're asking me to wait? Ivan? I can't wait. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You keep saying you love me. But I think you're just bluffing. Serena's face darkened. But my card really won't go through. Can we do it later? When I have money again? Ivan asked cautiously. Later? When is later? You clearly don't support me. And besides, if I become a big star, wouldn't that bring you pride too? I'll have $1 billion fortune in the future. Then, let out a lull sigh. No matter how many movies you want to shoot or things you want to buy, I'll be able to afford it all. You must be delusional. $1 billion? Even my dad doesn't have that kind of money. Fine. I know another way. Give me your phone and your ID. Serena said, reaching out. Hold your ID up to your chest, yes. Like that. Serena's delicate fingers tapped a few times on Ivan's phone. There. Done. Now we have money, 80,000. 60 for the training. And I'll use the remaining 20 to buy that bag, Serena said, pointing at a nearby handbag. Ivan looked down at the phone. Wait a second. This is a loan app. Isn't it? There's interest to pay. What? You can't even pay back 80,000? How are you going to give me any kind of happiness? Serena crossed her arms, turning away in a huff. Well, I can enter the math competition. The prize is 100,000. That should be enough to repay the loan and interest. Don't be mad, Serena. I'll go pay now and then sign you up. Ivan dashed off to the counter to pay. Serena turned to the sales associate and said, "So, old classmate. You must have earned a nice commission this time. Right?" The Salister grinned. "Serena, you're incredible, just borrowed 80,000 and like it was nothing." Serena shrugged nonchalantly. "It's not like I have to pay it back anyway. Who cares?" With his mind on the math competition, Ivan hurriedly finished his date with Serena after burning through the entire loan. At my doorstep, he stuck his head in the door. "Did you register me for the math competition?" Strange question. "Why would I register you? What do you have to do with me?" I replied bluntly. He sulked and walked away. Half an hour later, he knocked again. "Here. The registration form for the math competition. At least take it to school and hand it in. Okay?" "Nope. Do it yourself." I flatly refused. "Come on. Even regular classmates help each other with this kind of thing. I've got another date with Serena later." Without waiting for a reply, Ivan shoved the form into my hands. Ugh. Now I'm tangled up with him again. Disgusting, I muttered under my breath. In my previous life, I gave up the math competition for Ivan. I had won countless trophies since childhood, was considered the most promising candidate by teachers. But after much hesitation, I never submitted my form. Ivan's mom had fallen ill, and they needed money. I thought he could win the $10,000 prize and solve the crisis. I even helped care for his mom so he could focus on preparing for the competition. And he did win $10,000 in prize money. But then he said, "Autumn, good thing you had the sense not to enter. Losing to me every time would have been embarrassing. Right?" In this life, I submitted my registration without hesitation. I was ready to compete head-on with Ivan. 10 days passed. The 80,000 Ivan borrowed still hadn't been repaid. But unable to resist Serena's nagging, he borrowed another 30,000 and within 3 days, she had spent it all again. "Serena, I'm really out of money." Ivan was truly panicking. If he didn't win the prize from the upcoming math competition, he had no idea how he would repay his debts. But then he quickly reminded himself, in the future, he would be worth billions. This hardship was only temporary. Just then, Victor and his debt collecting crew showed up. "We heard you this year's top scorer in the college entrance exam. How could you not have money? Got money to spend but not to repay? Trying to dodge your debts? Please, brothers, I'm begging you, just give me a few more days. I'm about to participate in a provincial level math competition. The prize is 100 yuan. I promise I'll pay you back first thing." Ivan bowed in desperation. "All right. Since you're the top scorer, I'll give you one last chance. But if you don't pay up in 10 days, I won't be walking away empty-handed like today. Either give me the money or lose a finger. Your choice." As they left, each of them kicked Ivan once before cursing and walking off. On the day of the math competition, Ivan left home early. I thought he was heading to the exam venue to prepare in advance. But even after the test ended, he never showed up. Turns out, Ivan had gone on a date with Serena that morning. It wasn't until the competition was nearly over that he remembered it was today. As I was walking out of school with my classmate Cindy, we saw Ivan rushing in frantically. He stormed up to me and shouted, "Autumn, you conniving bitch, did you do this on purpose?" Cindy and I were completely baffled. "Ivan, watch your mouth. What did I do to you?" I stood my ground. "Did you purposely not turn in my registration form? Why didn't I get the exam notification?" Ivan was livid, veins bulging on his neck, and it looked like he might punch me at any second. Cindy quickly pulled me back a step. "I submitted your form. If you didn't get the notice, that's not my fault." I enunciated each word clearly. "You did it on purpose. You don't want me to win the prize money. You can't stand to see me succeed." Ivan jabbed his finger toward my face. "Ivan, Do you think the prize money only belongs to you? Just entering the competition doesn't guarantee you'll win. Cindy stood up for me. Why don't we go ask Drive? Q to check your registration form? If it's there, I want you to shut your mouth. A crowd had started to gather at the school gate, and I didn't want to argue anymore. In Drive QIU's office, I explained the situation. In a short while, Daka pulled out a stack of registration forms and quickly found Ivan's. Here's your registration form, Dr. Q said as he handed it over. But if the form is here, why didn't I get the exam notification? Ivan asked, confused. Did you read the registration rules carefully, Ivan? To participate in this competition, a student must have maintained a math score of at least 135 over the past 3 years. If not, they must submit a special application and be recommended by a teacher. Dr. Q flipped the form over and pointed out the requirements. Ivan exploded in anger and pointed at me. Autumn, why didn't you tell me? You knew, didn't you? Why should I remind you? Why blame others for your own mistakes? I responded calmly. In my heart, I thought, in our past life, you spent all of sophomore year fooling around with Serena, which tanked your grades. And you expect me to do what I did last time, write your application, chase down teachers for recommendations? Dream on. Ivan, what out? What are you ranting about? This is a school. Registration is your responsibility. Don't blame your classmates. Please leave. Dr. Q said, now clearly annoyed. Just then, a bright, cheerful-looking young man walked into the office. Dr. Kuraif, is there anything I can help with? He asked as he looked over at us. Before anyone could respond, Cindy spoke up. Cousin, Nedafai, what are you doing here? She turned to Drive Q and added, this is my cousin Connor. He's a student at Zhongcheng University's College of Science. He's also competing in the math contest. Connor from Zhongcheng University? The provincial math competition champion from last year? Dr. QIU's demeanor immediately softened. Dr. Q, I've heard so much about you. You're a renowned scholar in Zhongcheng. I've always hoped to become your student. Connor said humbly. Cousin, congrats. Your wish might just come true. Drive Q is about to start teaching at Zhongcheng University. Cindy said excitedly. That's great. We all said in unison. Deep down, I had just found my dream university. But Drive Q, what should I do now? Ivan still clung to hope. Wait for the next competition. Everyone must face the consequences of their own mistakes. Dr. Q shook his head with a sigh. Outside the school, Ivan still wouldn't let it go. Autumn, you owe me 100 yuan. You knew the rules and didn't tell me. Pay me back. He was like a mangy dog. Ivan, are you out of your mind? This is clearly your own fault. Cindy snapped. I don't owe you anything. And I'm not obligated to remind you, I said firmly, pulling Cindy along with me. But Ivan, like a stray dog, grabbed my arm tightly. It felt like being bitten. Let go of her, or I'll call the police. Connor's voice rang out behind us. Even if you had entered with my cousin in the competition, you still wouldn't have won the prize. Cindy added coldly. Ivan, the classic bully who only picks on the weak, shrank back under Connor's glare and finally let go, muttering, Autumn, we're not done yet. Still, Ivan acted like he had a backup plan. But while shopping with Serena, he was cornered by Victor and his gang. So? Did you win the prize money? Where's our cash? Victor asked, grabbing Ivan by the collar after beating him up. Victor, I'll have money soon. My exam results are about to be released. I'll be the top scorer. There'll be prize money. I promise I'll repay you. Ivan begged on his knees. You think I'm that easy to brush off? Victor sneered, slapping Ivan several times. Serena, give Victor your purse. It's worth over 20 yuan. Ivan shouted. Serena instinctively shielded her purse. Give it here. Victor yanked it from her hands and sneered. Girl, why are you with a loser like this? Come with me instead. Don't touch her. Ivan leapt up to shield Serena. Trying to play the hero? You're more like a clown. Fine. Top scorer. I'll give you a few more days. Victor patted Ivan mockingly on the head and left. Finally, having fulfilled the day of the exam results arrived. Ivan's mother actually hung a red banner at the entrance of the alley, which read, "Congratulations to Ivan for winning the top score in the college entrance exam." I sneered, waiting for him to be embarrassed. At 10 a.m., the exam results began to be released one after another, and a group of neighbors gathered around Ivan as he checked his scores. Ivan kept refreshing the results page on his phone. And finally, the number 692 appeared on the screen. The onlookers burst into applause, and a big smile spread across Ivan's mother's face. He smugly held the phone in front of my face. "Autumn. Open your dog eyes and look carefully. 692 points. The top scorer has to be me." I looked closely. It really did say 692. The exact same score he had in his previous life. 692 doesn't necessarily mean you're the top scorer. Don't forget. The full score is 720. There are plenty of people who did better than you, I said, refusing to back down. Heh. You're just being stubborn. The facts are right in front of you. Ivan, am simply better than you. Autumn. But deep down, I felt a little uneasy. Could it be that, even in this life, Ivan's luck was still that good? Just then, went out a low sigh. A crowd of media reporters swarmed into our shabby alley, cutting off our conversation. Two familiar reporters were chatting nearby. "You got here fast." "Of course. I heard the top scorer lives in this alley. We got to get the first-hand interview." "So who's the top scorer? Didn't you see the banner?" "Ivan." Oh. Right. Everyone. I'm Ivan. Feel free to ask me anything." Ivan, afraid the reporters didn't recognize him, hurried to introduce himself. "Yes, Evie too. This is our Ivan. I'm Ivan's mother." She joined in. The reporters immediately surrounded Ivan and his mother. "My son is the reincarnation of a literary star. So he was destined to be this year's top scorer," Ivan's mom boasted to the media. "Ivan, how do you feel right now?" a reporter asked. "Very excited, but I also expected this," Ivan replied proudly. "Now that you scored the highest, is there anything you want to share with us?" "I must thank my mom. She worked tirelessly to support me through school, and I want to thank my lucky star. Meeting her gave me the motivation to succeed." Another round of cheers erupted. I watched Ivan's performance quietly from the corner of the crowd. Suddenly, Ivan pointed at me. The crowd followed his finger and looked over. "That's the girl, also my classmate. You can interview her too. Ask her what it feels like to be crushed by the top scorer her entire life." Ivan directed the cameras toward me. "Why don't you check your score too? Autumn? You'll have to face it sooner or later. Right?" Ivan looked into the camera as he spoke. Fuming, I grabbed my phone and quickly entered my ID number. The signal in the alley was terrible. I stared at the screen as it kept refreshing. Finally, heading till so YMCA. The page loaded, but there was no total score. Every subject field was blank. What was going on? Panic started to creep in. Ivan took a glance and burst into laughter. "Autumn, did you turn in a blank exam?" "Yeah, Autumn. Be honest. Did you do something shady behind your parents' back? Why else would there be no score?" Ivan's mom chimed in. My mom couldn't take it anymore. "Ivan's mom, how can you say something like that? Just because your son did well doesn't mean you get to put other kids down." The neighbors all nodded in agreement, clearly thinking Ivan's mom had gone too far. "Mom, don't pay them any attention. That's how people act when they're drunk on success," I said as I stood with my mom, not planning to argue any further. Just then, what art a lull sigh? The sound of drums and gongs echoed from outside the alley, getting closer and louder. Our school principal, along with a group of teachers and a drum corps, entered the alley. Ivan rushed forward to shake the principal's hand. "Thank you, Principal. Thank you to the school and all the teachers. Congratulations, Ivan. You did well," the principal replied as he shook Ivan's hand firmly. "Thank you for your support. I feel incredibly honored that you came personally." Ivan clung to the principal's hand. But he soon noticed the principal looking around, as if searching for someone. "Excuse me, does Autumn live here too?" the principal asked Ivan. "Yes. Autumn lives here too. But she didn't do as well as my son." Ivan's mom interjected eagerly. "No, Ivan followed my obsession." "No. Ma'am. That's not quite accurate. Autumn did very well," the principal said, scanning the crowd until he spotted me in the corner. He walked over quickly and shook my hand. "Autumn. Congratulations. You did great. You're the pride of our school." I was stunned. My mom stood frozen beside me. "But I just checked, there were no scores." "What's going on?" I asked in confusion. "You probably missed the small note at the bottom. Open the page again and check carefully," the principal said with a smile. I reopened the app and finally saw the updated results page. At the bottom, in small print, it read, "Your score ranks in the top 10 in the province. Detailed results will be updated within 3 days." I smiled, tears welling up in my eyes. My mom hugged me, overwhelmed with emotion. Ivan stood to the side, watching coldly. His mother turned to the crowd and muttered, "Top 10 in the province? What's so great about that? She's still not as good as my son. The top scorer." "Top scorer?" The principal looked puzzled. He finally noticed the banner hanging above the alley entrance. "Congratulations to Ivan for winning the top score in the college entrance exam." He was about to explain to Ivan's mom why scores might not immediately appear on the platform when a reporter in the crowd suddenly shouted, "Breaking news! The top scorer of this year's college entrance exam has been announced. It's Autumn from Zhongqing 3 High School." It's absolutely true. I got this exclusive scoop first-hand. In an instant, everyone was stunned. The reporters went into a frenzy, and countless flashes from cameras turned towards me. Ivan's eyes nearly popped out of his head in disbelief. He shouted, "Impossible. That can't be. You've made a mistake. The top scorer is me." "Ivan." "Me." His mother pulled on the frenzied Ivan while stomping her feet and covering her face in disbelief. Suddenly, the principal, teachers, and reporters swarmed around me and my mother, surrounding us completely. I smiled a genuine smile from the heart, looking at the giant red banner in front of me. I found it incredibly ironic. "Ivan, haven't fulfilled my obsession. You're finished." In my past life, I had been so blinded by love that I missed out on the top scorer title. It should have rightfully been mine. But in this life, I've taken it back. At that moment, Doctor appeared from the crowd, holding a thick envelope, and walked toward me. "Autumn. Congratulations. You won first place in this year's provincial mathematics competition. I came here today specifically to give you the prize money 100 yuan." He solemnly placed the envelope into my hands. "You beat last year's math champion. Well done, Dr. Q." patted me on the shoulder. My eyes welled up with tears. Everything I lost in my past life, I've taken it all back in this one. Staying away from Ivan was the luckiest decision I ever made. Autumn really is having a double celebration today. Let's all give her another round of applause. The principal beamed with joy as he held my mother's hand and said, "Top scorer's mother. You've raised a true talent for the nation." I looked at my mother, though she wore a smile. Her tears had long been flowing. Because I was a girl, she had endured 18 years of ridicule in this alleyway, especially from Ivan's mother. But today, she could finally hold her head high. At that moment, the look in Ivan's eyes was like they could burst into flames. After Ivan's dream of becoming the top scorer was crushed, Victor and his gang came back in full force to collect their debt. "Kid, haha. You playing games with me? You said you were the top scorer and had loads of prize money. Where's the money?" Victor was furious after giving Ivan a brutal beating. Ivan curled up on the ground, his face bruised and swollen. "I can repay you. My girlfriend's family is rich. You'll borrow from her. And I know how to code. They'll have money soon." Victor, just give me a few more days. "Kid, I'm not heartless. I'll give you one last chance. In 3 days, bring me 50 yuan. If not, I'll take one of your fingers. Let's go." "Yeah. 50,000 first. Maybe I can borrow it from Shan Shan to get through this." Ivan muttered to himself. Shan Shan. Can you lend me 50 yuan? Ivan had barely spoken before Shan Shan erupted on the other end of the line. Ivan! You still have the nerve to call me? You liar! You kept telling me you were the top scorer. I must have been blind to fall for someone like you. And no, I don't have money. My dad's just an ordinary worker. My family doesn't own any company. Also, having fulfilled Wyatt Sasher. Don't ever contact me again. With that, Shan Shan hung up without hesitation. I didn't expect Shan Shan to be in trouble herself, and I still tried to borrow money from her. I'm such a pathetic man. But where am I going to get 50 yuan in 3 days? Ivan stared blankly at his phone. As the 3-day deadline approached, Ivan became desperate. Thinking hard, he thought, why not use the money Mom saved for my college expenses? It's for me anyway, it should be fine. Acting on impulse, Ivan waited for his mom to go grocery shopping, then pried open the small box where she kept the savings. He took the 50 yuan and then ransacked the place, trying to make it look like a burglary. What he didn't expect was I happened to witness it all through my window. Oh my God! Someone broke into my house and stole the money I saved for my son's college. How am I supposed to live? Ivan's mother was bawling hysterically on the ground. After Ivan's mother had gone around the neighborhood bragging that her son was the top scorer, she had lost the goodwill of many neighbors. She often said they'd soon move out of this poor neighborhood and move among educated, cultured, wealthy people. Now that her family was in trouble, the neighbors just watched coldly from their doorsteps. I couldn't stand it anymore. I went over and helped Ivan's mom up from the ground. Auntie, maybe you should call the police or ask your precious son. What do you mean? Ivan's mom stopped crying, still wiping away tears. I don't know anything else. I turned and walked away. That evening, loud noises, yelling, and crying erupted from Ivan's house. Then, what on a lull sigh? A furious knocking rattled our door. Autumn. Get out here. Get out here now. I opened the door and leaned against the frame. Ivan. What the hell are you yelling for? He stormed up, grabbed my throat, and pinned me against the door. I could barely breathe. Autumn. You just can't stand to see me succeed, can you? Who told you to open your mouth? Let go of me. Let go. What does this have to do with me? I pounded my fists weakly against his chest. Was it you? Did you tell my mom I took the money? Was it? He gripped even tighter. I felt like I was suffocating. Luckily, my mom came home just in time and shoved Ivan off of me. What are you doing? Trying to kill her? My mom grabbed a broom from behind the door. I quickly stopped her. She wasn't a match for Ivan. Autumn. Listen to me, this was just a warning. Next time, I won't go easy on you. Ivan threw down a threat and left. My mom comforted me. Ivan's finished. Don't bother with him anymore. As for Zhongcheng University, ever since I got to know Connor, he had told me so much about it. It made me long to go there even more. In my past life, Ivan got admitted directly to Zhongcheng University because he was the top scorer. And me? I missed out on it for him. I must have been unbelievably stupid. So, this time when I filled out my college application, I chose Zhongcheng University without hesitation. That's right. Connor. I applied to Zhongcheng University. So you'll be my senior now. I smiled brightly. Great. Junior. You'll definitely get admitted. I'll be there to welcome you when the semester starts. Connor's voice was especially gentle. As for Ivan, in order to win back his first love, he actually applied to Zhongcheng Vocational and Technical College just to attend the same school as her. Ivan, you lied to me again. Someone who scored over 600, going to a technical school? Serena asked, stunned. Serena, don't be mad. I'm telling the truth this time. I really did apply to Zhongcheng Vocational and Technical College. I want to be with you every single day from now on. Ivan kept coaxing his first love. When Ivan's mother heard the news, it hit her like a thunderbolt. She grabbed Ivan and wailed. Ivan, are you trying to kill me with anger? You're giving up a perfectly good university to attend a vocational school? After everything I'd done for you. Before she could finish, she fainted on the spot. To keep pleasing Serena, and to repay his online debts, Ivan was ready to follow Shan's advice to become a half-naked male model live streamer. But first, he built up a persona as a sweet and innocent college boy. Slogans like, "Scored 692 on the college entrance exam, but chose a tech school for love defying fate and never giving up. Chose love over glory, the young couple's entrepreneurial journey. Single mom's devoted son risked everything at 18 for love and family." Thanks to these catchy gimmicks, he quickly gained a following. With Serena's cooperation, their seductive performances and live streams shot up in popularity, and business boomed. "Ivan, business is doing great, why don't you invest more money into it?" Serena suggested. "I can't. Serena. This isn't sustainable long term. We should wait for a good opportunity before investing more." Ivan refused. "Ivan. You clearly don't love me. I'm thinking about our future. But you're too timid to do anything big," Serena snapped, her eyes blazing. "But Serena. That's not it." Ivan stammered. "Ivan, you do love me, right? You'll do what's best for our future, won't you?" Serena's stream of questions wore Ivan down. Under Serena's manipulation, he continued taking out more online loans, using money to maintain a glamorous image, dreaming of massive profits through viewer tips. But he didn't expect that borderline explicit content couldn't last forever. Ivan's live stream account was soon banned, and his business shut down completely. Not only that, he was fined 200,000 yuan. With his previous loans added in, Ivan now owed over $1 million. And yet, he still fantasized that 10 years later, he would become a billionaire CEO. "Ivan, I can't go on like this. You keep saying you'll be some CEO in the future, but you can't even manage a tiny live stream channel. You've dragged me into this mess too. I can't take it anymore." Serena complained endlessly. "Serena, trust me. I really will be a billionaire one day," Ivan insisted. "Wake up from your CEO fantasy and start thinking about how you're going to pay back that million yuan," Serena said coldly, grabbing her bag and walking away. "Serena, don't go. I can start over. Yes. I can live stream an entrepreneurship journey. I can make a comeback," Ivan mumbled to himself, completely deluded. "As for me, I successfully entered Zhongcheng University and began a wonderful college life. Every day, I moved from one classroom to another, participated in all kinds of clubs, and occasionally worked as a research assistant for Drive Q. I also had the talented Connor Sr. by my side. Ever since I left Ivan, I felt like I was truly reborn. But fate had its own plans. To my surprise, I ran into Ivan again on campus. He was using my name to recruit students into his live stream project. I caught him red-handed. "Ivan, this is fraud. You know that, right?" I confronted him. "Autumn. How am I committing fraud? You're a student at Zhongcheng University, that's true, isn't it?" Ivan looked shameless. "Please stop using my name. If you don't, I'll sue you. I'll sue you," I warned him again. "Autumn. Are you threatening me now? Don't be ungrateful." Ivan still tried to act tough in front of me. "This isn't a threat. It's a real warning." A voice came from behind me. "Connor. Ivan. Don't ever use my girlfriend's name to scam people again," Connor added. "Your girlfriend? What? Autumn? You climbed the social ladder. Huh?" Ivan sneered. "Yes. That's right. Ivan. Stay away from me. You're nothing but bad luck," I said firmly. In this life, I wouldn't show him any mercy. I wanted him as far away as possible. "Fine, hadin falselt liab sai. Autumn. You've got guts now. Just wait and see." Ivan cursed as he stormed off. "I'm sorry. Autumn. I said that just now so he'd stop bothering you." Connor scratched his head, his face turning red. "I should be the one thanking you, Senior. Thank you for always looking out for me," I replied, a bit shy, my heart pounding like a startled deer. At that moment, I felt a spark inside me, like a warm current flowing through my heart. Perhaps this is what love truly feels like. Looking back on my past life, always groveling to Ivan, I realized I never even felt what real love was. I mentally cursed my former self 1,000 times for being so foolish. "Autumn. I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? Connor's voice brought me back to the moment. Senior. I like you too. I bowed my head in embarrassment, but still responded boldly. Then, let out a lull sigh. I gave him a light kiss on the cheek. In this life, I swear I will be happy. Ivan's online loan debts kept snowballing, growing larger and larger. As a result, more and more people came to his door to collect debts. Victor, I'm begging you. Give me a little more time. I can pay it back. My live stream channel is about to collaborate with a big brand. Once the deal is signed, I'll make $3 million. I will pay it back. I swear. Kid, haven't fulfilled my obsession. I've heard that crap 100 times already. But where's the money? Huh? Victor punched Ivan in the face. Hey! Why are you hitting him? Ivan's mother happened to come in just then. Why hit him? He owes money and won't pay. Why shouldn't I hit him? Who are you to him? If not, are you going to pay his debt? Victor, his face full of menace, stepped up to Ivan's mother. How much? How much does he owe you? Ivan's mother asked, her voice trembling. 1.2 million. What? You got that kind of money? If you do, then the boys won't have to work so hard today. Victor turned to look at the thugs behind him. Hearing this, Ivan's mother felt the world spinning around her. Heavens! Who has that kind of money? Foolish boy. How could you owe that much? What am I supposed to do now? Ivan's mother burst into loud sobs. Enough already. Stop wailing. Ivan, I'm giving you one last chance today. Next time I come, you better watch your fingers. Victor made a throat-slitting gesture as he sneered and walked away. Ivan's mother saw her son bruised and battered and collapsed onto him, crying again. What kind of punishment is this? How did my son end up on such a dark path? I told you before. Stay away from that Serena. But you just wouldn't listen. Alright. Alright. Mom. What does this have to do with Serena? Ivan said impatiently, holding his bleeding mouth. Mom. If it really comes down to it, let's just sell the house. Ivan said. We can't. If we sell the house, where are we going to live? We'd be completely homeless. Ivan's mother sobbed. Just then, Monarol sigh. Serena happened to come by to see Ivan and overheard the conversation between Ivan and his mother. A wicked idea came to her. She would manipulate Ivan's mom into selling the house to pay off his debts. She took the initiative to find Victor and asked him to scare Ivan's mother. Don't hurt her. Just scare her a bit. Serena instructed the thugs. No problem. We'll make sure she hands over the house. That evening, a group barged into Ivan's home, smashing pots, pans, and furniture with a loud racket. What are you doing? Stop it. Please. I beg you. Ivan's mother actually got down on her knees to plead. My mom, hearing the commotion from home, rushed over to help, trying to stop them. But the thugs ignored her. Old lady, better sell the house and pay your son's debt, or you won't be living here much longer. Don't touch that. That's the only thing Ivan's father left behind. Ivan's mother shouted, trying to snatch a vase from a thug. Screw you. The thug shouted, flinging his arm. Unexpectedly, the vase shattered with a crisp sound, and in the next moment, Ivan's mother tumbled off the balcony and died on the spot. My mother was also struck hard in the back of the head with a chair and fell unconscious. She was rushed to the hospital, but never woke up. At Zhang University, Ivan and several students from the school had formed a live stream team and were preparing to sign a contract with Zhongqing's biggest drone brand under the university's name. But what Ivan didn't know was that this drone company was owned by Connor's family. Just before signing, the deal was suddenly called off. Sorry. Our research was insufficient. Your team's qualifications don't fully meet our criteria for selecting agents. Our company places high importance on the educational background of team leaders. At the very least, they must be currently enrolled in or have completed a bachelor's degree, said the company representative apologetically. The students, new to society, were at a loss. You can either all withdraw, or the unqualified member can step down. Please discuss it among yourselves. The representative suggested kindly. Ivan was dealt a blow. Being from Zhongcheng Vocational College, He clearly didn't meet the requirements. After thinking it over, he had no choice but to withdraw. He sat quietly on the bench. After all his hard work leading the team. In the end, it had nothing to do with him. He had no way to express his frustration. The 3 million he had hoped for was gone. He was unwilling to accept it. Yet helpless. Then he received a call from me. Autumn. You'd better have a good reason for calling. Or you're going to regret it. Your mom is in trouble. You better get home. I ignored his arrogance and hung up. By the time Ivan rushed home, his mother had already stopped breathing. He wailed beside her body. Mom. It's my fault. It's all my fault. His heart-wrenching cries brought tears to the eyes of anyone who heard them. But who could really be blamed? As if things couldn't get worse. While mourning at his mother's memorial, the debt collectors showed up again. Kid, hi. What excuse do you have this time? You've lied to me again and again. I, Victor, am not to be trifled with. Someone. Chop off one of his fingers. Victor. I'll pay it back. I swear. Please don't cut off my finger. Ivan knelt and clutched Victor's leg, begging. Kid, haha. That finger's coming off today. This is what you get for lying to Victor. Do it, cut it off. At Victor's order. The thugs pinned Ivan down. With a flash of a blade and a scream, Ivan's pinky was severed. Remember this today, it's one finger. If you don't pay next time, it'll be another. I want to see how many fingers you have left in the end. Victor stomped on Ivan's head as his men kicked and beat him. Stop, I shouted. You've gone too far. This is a memorial for the dead, aren't you afraid of retribution? Who the hell are you? Or are you going to pay Ivan's debt? I don't know him well. He's just a neighbor. I handed the envelope to Ivan and continued. This is some money the neighbors pulled together. Use it to bury your mother. Upon hearing about the money, Victor immediately snatched the envelope from Ivan and weighed it in his hand. It's not much. But hey, sweetheart, maybe you can make up the rest, Victor said with a wicked grin. Yeah. She can make up the difference. Ivan, still kneeling on the ground, chimed in. You heartless bastard. Isn't it enough that you caused your mother's death? Now you want to drag me down too? I shouted at Ivan, slapping him across the face. Oh. Feisty. I like that. Victor sneered. There's something about conquering a wildcat. Since Ivan agrees. Come with me. Odd. Ivan. What kind of person are you? Who do you think you are? I retorted. Stepping back. Playing hard to get. Huh? I bet I can catch you. Come on. Guys. Victor signaled his men to grab me. Stop right there. Are you tired of living? How dare you touch my girlfriend? Connor appeared, followed by a group of men. Connor pulled me behind him, then slapped Victor several times, wiping his hands in disgust afterward. His gaze turned icy as he looked at the others. Victor, stunned and about to retaliate, was stopped by his companions. That's Connor from the Southside family. We can't mess with him. Realizing the situation, Victor quickly apologized and left. And him. I pointed at Ivan. He encouraged Victor to bully me and wanted me to pay off his debts. I said, tears welling up but refusing to fall. This time, I wouldn't let Ivan bully me anymore. I would fight back. So what? You're not worth much anyway. No looks. No figure. Compared to my Serena. You're nothing, you're nothing. Ivan sneered. Holding his bleeding hand, Connor kicked Ivan to the ground. I warned you not to touch my girlfriend. This is just a lesson. Don't let it happen again. Autumn. You mentioned Serena? I found out who was behind your mother's attack. Her name is Serena. Look at this. Connor said, showing me a video on his phone. As I watched, anger surged through me, making me tremble. Ivan, when I. You fool. Serena, the one you love most, killed your mother. And you still treat her like a treasure. Your mother raised you for nothing. You're lying. Serena wouldn't do that. Ivan shouted, disbelief in his eyes. See for yourself. I held the phone up to his face. She not only killed your mother, but also caused mine to become a vegetable. I hate you. Ivan stared at the screen, stumbling backward in shock. No, this can't be true. You're all lying. Serena wouldn't do this to me. Serena. Serena. He screamed, clutching his head and running out of the funeral hall. In the hospital, my mother's condition suddenly worsened, and she passed away. I was overwhelmed with grief and rage, wanting to confront Ivan. But Connor stopped me. Let karma handle him. Don't dirty your hands. I chose a burial site for my mother on a hill in the countryside, hoping she could find peace. In my past life, she suffered from illness for 10 years before passing. This time, she still met a tragic end. And my heart ached deeply. During the funeral, a commotion arose as Ivan, dressed in black, dragged Serena through the crowd. Ivan, what are you doing? Today's my mother's funeral. I don't want to deal with you, I said, as neighbors tried to intervene. Ivan, let Autumn handle her mother's affairs. Talk later. Ivan, Ivana. Go back. Don't disrupt the ceremony. Ivan, do you want me to force you out of Zhongcheng? Connor warned. Ivan, gripping Serena tightly, pulled out a dagger from his waist. Connor immediately shielded me. Suddenly, Serena screamed. Ivan had stabbed her in the back and pushed her off the hill. I stood frozen in shock. Autumn, I don't want to owe you anymore. I avenged your mother today, Ivan said, then plunged the dagger into his own heart. He collapsed in a pool of blood. In this life, Ivan never achieved his dream of becoming a CEO. With Connor's support, I completed my mother's funeral. After graduating from university, I became a teacher and a special researcher at Drive QIU's Institute. 2 years later, Connor and I got married. And Ivan's name faded from my life forever. The day after I died of gastric cancer, my ex-husband Andrew committed suicide by taking pills. He didn't care at all about the billions of family assets I left behind. He just wanted to die for love for me and was eager to be buried with me. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn and returned to 2 years ago, the year I divorced Andrew. This time, I deliberately got myself drunk and tried to take the opportunity to climb into his bed, but he supported me with red eyes. His tone was full of embarrassment. What's Leo's phone number? Do you need me to call him over? When I suddenly woke up from my desk, my heart pounding wildly. When my gaze landed on the familiar investment plan on the desk, I was stunned for a long while. Wasn't I dead? My brain was running at high speed, and memories flashed through my mind. I remembered that I had heard employees discussing reincarnation novels when I passed by the pantry before. And I picked up my phone and looked at the date displayed on it. It was July 1st. Had I been reborn? Just like in the novels. Suddenly, my phone dinged, and a message popped up. Are you coming back tonight? The message was from Andrew. Exactly the same as in my previous life. I still remembered that after I went back that day, he proposed a divorce to me. I frowned as I looked at the divorce agreement he handed me and suppressed the strange feeling that welled up in my heart. Are you sure you want to divorce me? I asked, looking into his calm eyes. Sure. After he said it calmly, I immediately signed my name. At that time, I vaguely felt that he might have misunderstood something because I was getting too close to Leo. At the same time, I was worried that I was just being self-indulgent. So I didn't ask any more questions. In addition, I was originally a bit cold in personality. Since he didn't ask, I didn't explain too much. And then I started to focus on the company's listing. Until a year after Andrew left. Every night when I returned to that empty home, I vaguely felt a bit regretful. Once, when I was drunk, I couldn't help but drive to find him. But from a distance, I saw him hugging a beautiful girl. And it seemed they were kissing. I sobered up instantly and lost the courage to see him. I also didn't want to disturb his happiness. After that, I numbed myself with work every day. The continuous work and irregular diet finally caused problems with my body, and I was admitted to the hospital. When I woke up again, the doctor said I had cancer and it couldn't be cured. When my father learned that I was seriously ill and incurable, he only stayed in the ward for a few minutes before being called back by my stepmother's phone call. At that moment, looking at the moonlight outside the window, I only felt an overwhelming sense of desolation in my heart. In order to gain my father's attention, I worked desperately hard. I had been exhausting my body for the company. And now that I was seriously ill, it seemed that I still hadn't won his slightest affection. One day, Andrew, I don't know where he got the news of my serious illness, suddenly appeared in the ward to visit me. I looked at that familiar figure bussing around, and my eyes gradually became moist. Why are you here? Didn't we already get a divorce? Just because we're divorced, can't I come and see you? Andrew retorted, and then let out a bitter laugh. Do you really hate me that much? Nina, what exactly is it that I'm worse than him? Am I really not worthy of your love? At that moment, a huge sense of grief seemed to envelop him. Tears rolled down from his red eyes and landed on the back of my hand, making my heart feel as if it had a crack. And it ached. I opened my mouth, wanting to say something, but then I fell into endless darkness and never woke up again. What I never expected was that Andrew took pills and committed suicide to accompany me the day after I died. Only then did I realize that he had always loved me deeply in his heart. But his love was hidden and restrained. Even if I had explained one more sentence at that time, maybe things between him and me wouldn't have ended up like this. I came back to my senses and looked at the time on my phone, which showed 510. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. There was still time. Andrew would only propose a divorce to me in the evening. I still had time to repair this relationship. There were still 3 hours until 9 o'clock in the evening. How should I make up for it? I'm confident and capable when it comes to work. But I'm actually only half understood when it comes to relationships. After thinking for a long time, my head was faintly swelling. And I still had no clue. Suddenly, a figure flashed through my mind. Jocelyn, one of my few friends. I stood up, looked at the night view outside the window, and called her. Yo, isn't President Nina busy with the company's listing? How come you still have time to contact someone like me who's not doing anything productive? Sorry. I ignored you because I was busy with work before. Can I meet you? I want to ask you for a favor. She seemed to be taken aback by my attitude. After a few seconds of silence, her awkward voice came through. All right. Then let's meet at the Blue Ocean Bar. Jocelyn is one of my few friends. I happened to meet her being her ass in a bar back then. And I went up to help her. Since then, we've become friends. It's just that we rarely met after I got busy with work, and gradually our contact became less frequent. When I arrived at the bar, from a distance, I saw Jocelyn wearing a black dress and high-heeled shoes, walking towards me. She took my hand and led me through the crowd to a private room, where we sat down. She looked at me, pouted, and said unhappily, "What does President Nina want me to help you with? Just say it straight." I looked into her eyes and asked earnestly. Andrew wants to divorce me. And I'm not sure how to save our relationship. Serves you right. You're always so close to that flirtatious Leo. And you're always on the trending searches. If I were him, I'd definitely divorce you too. Seeing my somewhat dejected expression, she let out a cold snort and asked someone to bring several bottles of strong liquor and place them on the table. It's not that there's no way. Your Andrew has a soft heart. Drink these bottles of wine. When you're drunk, I'll ask him to come and pick you up. But don't get too drunk. Coax him in the evening. Also, you said that you two haven't had a conjugal life for 3 years. Then you should pounce on him first. This will quickly establish an intimate connection between you two. It sounded like a good idea. So I started drinking the liquor, until Jocelyn saw that I was faintly drunk. She called Andrew. Not long after, someone pushed the door open and came in. A tall figure loomed over me. Nina? I heard his deep voice ringing in my ears. And my eyes couldn't help but gradually become moist. Well, she drank a lot. And I couldn't move her. I heard her keep calling your name. So I called you. Jocelyn chattered on the side to explain. Okay. Thank you. I'll take her back first. Okay. The familiar scent of wood wafted over. I was picked up around the waist. And my face was pressed against his heart. The strong beating of his heart made my face feel slightly hot. Fortunately, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. I was drunk, so it wasn't noticeable. He carefully and gently placed me in the passenger seat. When he fastened my seat belt, His slight breath brushed against my ear, and a tingling feeling made me shiver. Strange. Since when has my body become so sensitive? I turned my head slightly and looked out the window, remembering that when I married him, it was because of the arranged marriage set by my mother when she was alive. I had someone find out about him. At that time, he was a professor at Zhongcheng University. The day I asked him to meet, he was wearing a gray shirt and walked towards me against the setting sun. The words "time passes peacefully" suddenly flashed through my mind. When he saw me, his expression clearly froze. I looked into his eyes and asked directly. We had an arranged marriage when we were kids. So, would you like to marry me? At that time, he replied blankly. Yes. On the same day, I dragged him to get the marriage certificate. This was also the only time I rebelled against my father. Maybe it was because I saw the same look in Andrew's eyes that I had only seen in my mother's eyes before. It was warm and made me feel at peace. In the days after our marriage, we treated each other with respect, and our conjugal life was harmonious. Until the company grew bigger and bigger, I gradually became ambitious. So I approached Leo and asked if he was willing to cooperate. It just so happened that we had the same goals, and we hit it off immediately. As the work required, I got closer and closer to Leo. Gradually, I also started to stay out all night. Sometimes, when I came back late, I would sleep in the study. At first, I would explain to Andrew. In the end, after so many times, I was too lazy to explain. Until he was completely heartbroken by me and wanted to divorce me. I still didn't realize my mistake at all. He must be feeling very sad and disappointed now. I was carried by him and placed on the bed. He gently took off my high heels. Seeing that he was about to pull up the quilt and turn to leave, I quickly sat up and wrapped my arms around his waist, rubbing my face against his back. Andrew, I feel so uncomfortable. My head hurts so much. His body stiffened. Then he tried to pull my hands away but didn't dare to use too much force. He said helplessly, I'll go and make you some hangover soup. I don't want hangover soup. Rub my head for me. It hurts. He had no choice but to turn around and sit on the bed. But taking advantage of the alcohol, I climbed onto his lap, wrapped my arms around his neck, and whispered in his ear suggestively. I feel so uncomfortable. I want you. You're drunk. After saying that, he was about to push me away. I looked at him pitifully with my eyes full of lust. Andrew, I'm not drunk. I directly blocked his lips, not giving him a chance to speak. My hands kept igniting the fire on his body. He wanted to push me away but couldn't bear to use too much force. His breathing gradually became heavier until a suppressed groan came to my ears. I released his lips, looked at his reddish neck, and glanced mockingly at a certain place. Then I leaned close to his red earlobe and said, You're not impotent, are you? Nina. You. He seemed to be so angry with me that his eyes were red. Suddenly, the world spun, and I was pinned down by him. The moonlight outside the window shone on our undulating bodies, and I couldn't help but shiver. I don't know how long it took, but I fell asleep contentedly. When I woke up in the morning, I took a shower, changed my clothes, and walked out of the room. I saw Andrew having breakfast. I leaned against the door, looking at his well-defined face. At the moment, his brows were slightly furrowed, as if he was struggling with something. Then the light in his eyes dimmed again. It seemed that he felt my gaze. He looked up and met my eyes, pursed his lips, and then quickly looked away. Remembering his passionate eyes last night, I couldn't help but curl the corners of my lips. He has feelings for me. I just need to add a little more fuel to the fire. I opened the refrigerator and was about to pour myself a glass of milk. Andrew saw this and got up and walked over. You have a weak stomach. Let me heat it up for you. Without waiting for my response, he turned and went to the kitchen. Then he tied on an apron and, by the way, fried 2 eggs for me. The apron strings were tied around his body, perfectly outlining his broad shoulders and narrow waist, exuding a strong sense of a loving husband. Suddenly, for some reason, the image of his possessive eyes from last night flashed through my mind, both gentle and domineering. At that time, I grasped his strong arm and couldn't help but gasp continuously. Eventually, had him fulfill my obsession. I couldn't help but plead for mercy. Andrew. Stop. I can't take it anymore. Then I heard his deep and hoarse voice respond with a, In a daze. I seemed to remember that he carried me to take a shower. His hands, which had been holding a pen all year round, had calluses. When he washed me, it caused ripples of sensations. Breakfast is ready and placed on the table. Andrew's voice rang in my ears. I came back to my senses and met his gentle eyes. Feeling a bit embarrassed. My face seemed to be slightly hot. Then I pretended to be indifferent and looked away, eating the breakfast on the table. Just then, let out a low sigh. My phone rang. It was Leo calling. I casually hung up, but a few minutes later, he called again. So annoying. I didn't want to hear this person's voice now as it would ruin my appetite. So I muted my phone and placed it face down on the table. Andrew saw me hang up the phone. His fingers holding the water cup paused for a moment. He glanced at me silently. And there was an emotion in his eyes that I couldn't understand. Just as I was about to speak, the doorbell rang. I didn't need to think to know who it was. I got up and opened the door. Nina. You forgot that we have an important investment plan to discuss today. Hurry up and get ready to go. I almost forgot. This investment was indeed quite important. Nothing should affect my ability to make money. I quickly got myself ready and went downstairs with Leo. It wasn't until I sat in the passenger seat of his car that I suddenly realized something. Oh no. Section id article truck, for Nina. There seems to be something on the corner of your mouth. Let me wipe it for you. As he said that, Leo didn't wait for my response. He tilted his head and leaned in front of me, extending his finger to wipe the corner of my mouth. I reacted and leaned back to avoid him, feeling faintly annoyed. Leo. What are you doing? I can wipe it myself. Oh, I got it. He replied perfunctorily without caring, his amorous eyes narrowing slightly. Looking extremely lazy. According to my experience from my previous life, he only gets this slightly narrowed look in his eyes when he's scheming against someone. I thought of something, and, sure enough, saw Andrew's departing back through the rearview mirror. Didn't he see that just now? And from behind, it must have looked like Leo and I were kissing. Oh no. I quickly got out of the car and chased after Andrew. The relationship that had just been slightly eased last night. Leo. This scheming man. Andrew. Stop. Hearing my voice, he paused in his steps. I walked up to him and, looking into his emotional eyes, explained seriously. I don't like Leo. We weren't kissing just now. He did it on purpose so that you would see and want you to misunderstand and divorce me. It doesn't matter anymore. Looking into his calm eyes, I felt a bit panicked. I stepped forward and grabbed his hand. Andrew. What do I have to do for you to believe me? Let go. His deep voice seemed to carry a hint of anger. I really didn't know how to explain it so that he would believe me. After all, I had done such stupid things too many times in my previous life. I glanced at the time on my phone again. The project today must be finalized. It's very important for the company's listing. After I finish the project, I'll pick you up from school in the evening. I said somewhat helplessly. No need. He shook off my hand, didn't even look at me, and directly walked away with his long legs, exuding an aura that kept others at a distance. I sighed. It was completely ruined now. The relationship that I had finally managed to ease with great effort. President Nina. Stop looking so longingly. He's already gone. I don't know when Leo stood behind me. I turned around and looked at his frivolous eyebrows and eyes and threatened him. Don't play such tricks again in the future. If there's a next time, I don't mind becoming your opponent. Hearing my threat, Leo put away the proud smile on his lips. His eyes kept shining with a shrewd light, and he stared at me for a long time. What? President Nina. Are you starting to care about your husband now? It's as if I didn't care before. Thinking carefully. In my previous life, I was completely focused on my career. I often stayed out all night with Leo and didn't even explain to Andrew. It seemed that I really didn't care much. I rubbed my aching temples and sat in the passenger seat. Looking at Leo, who also got into the car, I said, "You were right just now. I'm starting to care about him and want to salvage our relationship. Consider me a prodigal son who is returned and won't change his ways. Don't play such tricks in the future. Suppose I really divorce him. I won't fall for you either. We're of the same kind. We only care about interests in our hearts and don't believe in love. We can't warm each other. We're destined not to be together. If I find out that you're playing tricks on purpose next time, I don't mind becoming your rival and having a showdown. Worst case scenario, we'll both end up losing." After hearing me, his eyes gradually turned cold, and he put away his cynical appearance. 5. In my previous life, not long after I got divorced, Leo proposed to me, and I rejected him. I didn't understand why he would want to marry me. There were so many intertwined interests between us, and I had seen how he would stop at nothing to achieve his goals. How could I let down my guard and become his wife? After being rejected by me, he was in a daze for a while. It was only for a week. And then he told me that he was going to get married. I didn't have any feelings about it. After all, when I first met him and wanted to become business partners, it was just because he valued profits, which suited my taste. After that, I was like the one holding the chess pieces while he charged forward. During the period when we worked together, we defeated many opponents. Not long after I fell ill, he came to visit me once and asked me how I planned to deal with the company. I was silent for a long time, thinking of when I went back to the old mansion not long ago and heard my father comforting my stepsister, saying, "Your sister is cold-hearted. Daddy doesn't like her. Daddy only likes our new Ann." When I heard these words outside the door, at that moment, I just felt my whole body turn cold and couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. It turned out that my father didn't like me not because I wasn't excellent enough, but just because he didn't like me as a person. I'll donate it to the orphanage. The rest will be left to Andrew. Leo lowered his eyes and let out a soft hem before leaving the ward. My thoughts were interrupted by the smell of smoke. I didn't know when we had arrived at the place. Leo was holding a cigarette between his slender fingers. I rarely saw him smoke. Recently, because of this project, his face had lost some weight. Come to think of it, his situation wasn't much better than mine. He was an illegitimate child in a wealthy family. Otherwise, even if he had achieved some success over the years, he wouldn't have been recognized back into the family. President Mina, if you look at me with that kind of gaze, it's easy for me to misunderstand. After finishing a cigarette, he returned to his lazy appearance, his eyes teasing. I was too lazy to pay attention to him and got out of the car first and rushed to the conference room. After a negotiation that lasted for several hours, the work finally came to a temporary end. Leo followed me back to the office and asked me what I wanted to eat. Without looking up, I replied, "You can go back first. I'll go home and eat later." Huh. Heartless. After saying that, he didn't try to make himself unwelcome and left my office. I saw that it was still early, so I opened another project. It wasn't until I felt hungry that I realized it was already past 9 o'clock in the evening. Oh no. 6 when I got home. I saw Andrew sitting on the sofa, seemingly lost in thought, surrounded by a sense of sadness. I still remembered how cheerful and free-spirited he was when we first got married. Now, because of my coldness, he had become more and more silent. I suppressed the soreness welling up in my heart and walked over to him, squatting down and holding his hand. "Sorry. I was so busy with work that I forgot to check the time. Let's get a divorce." He interrupted my explanation, pulled out his hand that I was holding, and said those words in a flat tone. Hearing those words, my eyes completely turned red. "I've explained it to you. It wasn't what you saw this morning. Why don't you believe me? Does it matter to you whether I believe you or not?" He let out a bitter laugh and, looking into my eyes, continued, "Mina, I'm tired. I don't want to be caught between you two anymore." Looking at the pain in his eyes, I couldn't hold back anymore and stepped forward to hug him tightly. "I like you. I won't divorce you. You can't even think about it. I'll stick to you for the rest of my life. I know it's because I've been too close to Leo. I'll keep a distance from him in the future. Please give me a chance to make up for it. Okay? Andrew seemed to be taken aback by my reaction. He froze in place with his body stiff. I looked up and saw that his expression softened a bit. Taking the opportunity, I started to play the pitiful card. I've been busy all day today and didn't even have time to eat. As soon as I got home, you brought up the topic of divorce. Just as I finished speaking, my stomach growled. Sure enough, he frowned with a look of pity. I'll cook for you. After saying that, he turned and went to the kitchen. I found the divorce agreement on the table annoying, so I couldn't help but tear it up and throw it into the trash. I looked at the busy figure in the kitchen. Soon, let out a low sigh. A familiar smell of food filled the air, and my eyes couldn't help but moisten. In my previous life, after divorcing him, I thought I wouldn't be sad. After all, I married him just because of my mother's last wish. But as time passed, that feeling of loneliness grew stronger and stronger. Only then did I realize how important he was to me. When I wanted to salvage our relationship, I found that there was someone else by his side. Thinking of this, my heart couldn't help but ache. Fortunately, hadn't felt late, it's still not too late. I won't be separated from him in this life. After dinner and taking a shower, I put on a camisole nightgown and pressed my back against Andrew's, saying sullenly, "Please give me a chance to make up for it. I really like you." He didn't say anything. I just turned over and lay face to face with him. "If you don't speak, I'll kiss you." As I said that, my hand started to get restless. "Mina, don't do this." "Don't do what?" I couldn't help but tease him. Why didn't I realize before that he was so innocent in this regard? In the moonlight, I could vaguely see his face turn slightly red. He grabbed my hand that was igniting the fire all over his body and asked me in a deep and hoarse voice. Didn't you like Leo before?" "When did I like him?" "I got closer to him because of work needs. Don't believe the random reports on the internet. They are just trying to attract attention." This fool. Could it be that he has always thought that there was an ambiguous relationship between Leo and me? It's also my fault. I didn't explain to him that I often stayed out all night because of work. Mainly. He didn't ask either. And I thought it wasn't necessary. Thinking of this, I was somewhat annoyed. I turned my anger into motivation and kissed his lips, venting my dissatisfaction. His breathing was heavy. Finally, he couldn't hold back anymore. Turned over and pressed on top of me. And we indulged in passion for another night. 7 since we had that open conversation that day. When my work wasn't particularly busy, I would put it aside. And I would go to the school to pick up Andrew after work. And we would go grocery shopping together. Go home and cook. Our relationship began to gradually improve. In the evening, after I finished my work and passed by Andrew's study, I happened to see him preparing lessons in front of the computer. He was wearing glasses on his nose. And with his serious expression, I couldn't help but feel a little tickled in my heart. After thinking for a while, I went back to my room, took a shower, put on the man-killing nightgown I had bought not long ago, heated a glass of milk in the kitchen, and brought it to him. However, I didn't hold it steady, and the milk spilled onto his computer. The screen went black immediately, and my dress was also stained with milk. "Mina, did you get burned?" Seeing this, he frowned worriedly, quickly lifted the hem of my dress to check. He let out a sigh of relief when he saw that I was okay. Looking at his gradually reddening neck, I teased, "Andrew, did you just see something you shouldn't have?" "Nina," he interrupted me anxiously, lowering his eyes and not daring to look at me. This man, who was clearly insatiable in bed, seemed so serious out of bed. Forget it. I won't tease him anymore. I went back to my room, brought him my laptop to use, and then took another shower. After getting dressed and picking up my phone, I found that Leo had sent me several messages. "Mina, sorry. Now I know why you suddenly care so much about your husband. It's because you want to acquire that piece of land in his hometown. You've acted so convincingly that even I believed it. I'm waiting for your good news." Land? He must be referring to the inheritance left to Andrew by his father after his death. In my previous life, after I found out that the heir of that piece of land was Andrew, I gave up the acquisition. After all, it was something his father left for him to remember. Oh no. I suddenly remembered that Leo's messages would also be received on the computer. I quickly ran to the study and saw Andrew with a pale face and red eyes, looking extremely desolate. He raised the corners of his lips and gave me a bitter smile. Mina, and if you could have just told me. There was no need to act like this in front of me. You cannot like me. But treating me like this for the sake of your career really makes me feel embarrassed. After saying that, he walked past me and was about to leave. I grabbed his hand. Andrew, listen to my explanation. It's not what you think. I don't want to acquire that land. Really? The plan is already done. You said you don't want to acquire it? Thinking of the plan on the computer screen, I had a headache. I really didn't know how to explain it so that he would believe me. In the end, no matter how I tried to stop him, he insisted on moving out. I could only watch him disappear from my sight. I drank wine and looked at the moonlight outside the window. I couldn't help but feel sad. How did things turn out like this? When did I become a person who would stop at nothing for money in his heart? Andrew didn't trust me at all. The more I thought about it, the sadder I became. I picked up my phone and called Jocelyn. I feel so bad. Come and drink with me. She could tell something was wrong with my tone and just said, wait for me. I didn't know when she arrived. All I knew was that I drank a lot of wine with her and got so drunk that I lost consciousness. 8 when I woke up the next day. It was already afternoon. I walked out of the room in a daze, opened another bottle of wine, and continued drinking. When Jocelyn woke up and came out of the room, she saw the wine bottle in my hand, let out a helpless sigh, heading to sell my sigh, and sat down beside me. What? You don't plan to solve the problem and just keep getting drunk here? I explained it. But he didn't believe me. My tone was indescribably decadent. I continued to drink the wine in my hand. Suddenly, Jocelyn snatched the wine bottle away. He doesn't believe you because you really do value your work a lot. How many times did I ask you out before? And you said you were busy. In the end, I was also hurt. Anyway, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. If you had called me on your own initiative that time, I wouldn't have paid attention to you again. Looking at her somewhat arrogant face, I suddenly laughed. I suddenly felt a bit relieved. You're right. Whether he believes me or not is his business. I need to correct my attitude. I really did a lot of things that hurt him before. That's more like it. Jocelyn looked at me as if I was teachable. I took action right away. I tied up my long hair with the jade hairpin Andrew gave me, revealing my slender and pale neck. I changed into a dress and then drove to Andrew's school to find him. I went to his office with ease, knocked on the door. Andrew looked up and frowned when he saw it was me, then walked out. Is there something? His biz-like attitude made me feel a bit sad. I'm here to pick you up. Please, don't be angry. Okay? I couldn't help but step forward to hold his hand, but he avoided it. You don't have to do this. I will sign the acquisition papers. You can leave. When he said this, his expression was cold. I was somewhat helpless. He still thought I came to him because of the project. I took out my phone and called Leo, intending to clarify the misunderstanding in person. Before I could get through, I heard a woman's voice coming from behind me. Xian, look what delicious food I brought you. She walked up to Andrew, took his hand, and went into the office. The two of them talked and laughed, ignoring me the whole time. The moment I saw that woman appear, my heart vaguely ached. After the divorce and my previous life, it was her who hugged Andrew, and the way he looked at her was gentle and doting. Just like at this moment. My eyes turned red, and I held back my tears. I turned around and left. I didn't have the courage to question their relationship. What if, like in my previous life, they liked each other? What should I do then? After that day, I never went to the school to look for him again. I worked frantically every day to numb myself. Until one day, Leo came to see me. I realized that I had been working continuously for half a month. He held a bouquet of bright roses, and his handsome and charming face came closer in front of me. His tone was serious. Do you like them? I bought them especially for you. looking into his expectant eyes. I said calmly, "President Leo, it's better not to send me flowers in the future. It will make people misunderstand our relationship." His amorous eyes flickered. And he didn't care. Let them misunderstand. I don't mind. Your husband doesn't have any value for you to use now. Right? When are you going to get a divorce? Let me know then. And I'll propose to you. Hearing this, I stopped writing and looked at his obscure eyes. My tone was cold. I'll say this one last time. I will never divorce him. And there is no possibility between you and me. If you make such jokes again in the future, we don't need to cooperate anymore. And we don't need to see each other either. After saying this, a sharp pain hit my stomach. I was in so much pain that cold sweat broke out on my forehead. What's wrong? Did your stomachicae flare up again? I'll take you to the hospital. He picked me up in his arms. I didn't have the strength to stop him and gradually lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was lying in a hospital bed. Leo was leaning against the window with an obscure expression, as if he was thinking about something. Are you feeling better? He turned around and asked when he saw that I was awake. Seeing that I didn't speak and didn't look at him, he said self-deprecating lie. It seems I'm not welcome here. Looking into his eyes, I said seriously, Leo, had a lull sigh. Stop wasting your efforts on me. There is no way we can get married. He looked at me and smiled. Why is it okay with him, but not with me? This question stumped me. Why? After being married for so many years, had I never thought of divorcing Andrew? Maybe it was because I was a sensitive person. As long as he was at home, the empty room would always be filled with a bit of the smell of human life, which made me feel inexplicably at ease. So I had never regretted marrying him. And Leo gave me the impression of a person who would stop at nothing for the sake of interests. He could be a business partner, but other relationships would make me feel a great deal of resistance. What's more, I could keenly sense that he had a lot of things hidden in his heart. If he didn't take the initiative to tell me, I wouldn't ask either. It wasn't important to me. I looked at the gray sky by the window and replied, I will only love him in my life. If I had to choose between my career and him, I would choose Andrew. He pursed his lips and let out a self-deprecating laugh. He teased. So I was being self-indulgent. I thought President Mina was interested in me since she was always with me. I lifted my eyelids and glanced at him. You think too much. I'm only interested in work. 9 After that conversation, I could feel that Leo didn't have those feelings for me anymore. He wouldn't come to me again and again under the pretext of work. I also completely figured it out that day. In my previous life, the person who was willing to commit suicide for me when I was seriously ill couldn't possibly fall in love with someone else. There must be a misunderstanding. I was about to drive to see him when I received a strange phone call. Is that Nina? I'm Andrew's aunt. He was seriously injured. Which hospital is he in? I'm going there now. Hearing that he was injured, I panicked immediately. In the hospital ward, I met the woman who called me and found out that she was actually Andrew's aunt. I realized that I had misunderstood. Looking at Andrew, who was lying in the hospital bed with a pale face, my eyes couldn't help but turn red. Looking at his bandaged arm, I murmured in a hoarse voice, How did you get hurt? He saved a child who was crossing the road and sprained his arm. His aunt let out a sigh and explained to me. Then she said she wanted to talk to me. I took a look at the sleeping Andrew and followed her to the living room at the door of the ward and sat down. Sorry. I deliberately made you angry that day because I wanted to see if you would be jealous. I didn't expect it to backfire. And you actually turned around and left. After you left, Andrew looked really bad. During that time, he was in a daze and lived like a wooden man without any emotion. Although I don't know what happened between you two, I can tell that he can't live without you. And you also have feelings for him. I sincerely hope that you can cherish each other. Have an open conversation. And don't wait until you miss each other to regret it. His aunt said that he came to Zhongcheng to meet an old acquaintance and would leave that night. The company abroad couldn't do without her. In the end, I seriously promised her that I would take good care of Andrew. She looked into my serious eyes and smiled. I believe you. That night, without waiting for Andrew to wake up, she took a plane and left overnight. I knew that she was giving us a chance to repair our relationship. I walked into the ward and looked at Andrew's furrowed brows. I couldn't help but reach out to smooth them. Unexpectedly, I woke him up. He grabbed my hand, and his hoarse voice was full of exhaustion. Nina, stop pretending to be affectionate. We'll get a divorce as soon as I'm discharged from the hospital. Looking at the scarlet bloodshot eyes in his eyes, I felt a bit helpless and directly blocked his lips. He looked at me in disbelief. Then, he went on a lull. Sorry. He came to his senses, and his pale face gradually turned red, with a hint of anger on his face. I didn't dare to go too far, so I released him. Nina, Adina, what on earth do you want to do? I ignored his anger, met his scarlet eyes, and said calmly, I missed you and couldn't help but kiss you. We're not divorced yet, so it's not illegal, right? I didn't dare to make him too angry. So I took a roundabout route and added, I promise you that we'll get a divorce after you're discharged from the hospital. But your aunt's company had something urgent to deal with, so she's already returned to the country. During this period, as your wife, I have the obligation to take care of your daily life. It's not too much for me to ask for some interest in advance, right? I couldn't help but tease him when I saw his blushing face. He seemed to be so angry that his breathing became heavy. His thin lips pursed into a straight line, and he turned his head away, obviously not wanting to pay attention to me anymore. During this period, I also moved my work to the ward to deal with it, and took the opportunity to watch over him. These days, I clearly felt that my relationship with him was gradually improving. Suddenly, Jocelyn's bad idea flashed through my mind. A tough man is afraid of a woman's persistence. Judging from the current situation, it seems to be quite effective. I must reward her well when I have time. 10 week later, I took Andrew home to recuperate. I always felt that it was not as comfortable in the hospital as at home. After the meeting in the evening, when I passed by the room, I saw him reading a book. The soft light hit his face, making him look gentle and determined. I couldn't help but want to tease him. I leaned close to his ear and said, It's getting late. Let me help you take a bath. I said it seriously, but he turned his head and looked away. His voice hoarse, no need. Looking at his gradually blushing face, I couldn't help but continue to tease, but I haven't washed you enough yet. Nina. He interrupted me, obviously getting anxious. Forget it. I won't tease him anymore. I turned around and walked out to continue focusing on the project. Not long after, a muffled groan came from the bathroom. I rushed in immediately. Andrew's naked body came into my sight, and I was stunned for a moment. And my gaze shifted to the blood on his arm, and I asked anxiously, What's wrong? Where did you get hurt? I said I would help you wash, but you wouldn't let me. My eyes instantly turned red. I reached out and took the bath towel to wrap it around his waist, and then pulled him to the living room to apply medicine again. I'm fine. He comforted me in a stiff voice. I didn't say anything, and tears uncontrollably fell onto the back of his hand. He suddenly reached out a hand and easily pulled me into his arms. He pressed his head against my back and murmured softly, Nina, why didn't you coax me more that day? If you had coaxed me a little more, I would have gone home with you. Why did you leave directly when you saw me with someone else? Why didn't you ask me more? Do you know that at that moment, I felt really pitiful. I didn't even have the right to make you jealous. Isn't that ridiculous? Now, just because you've been nice to me for a few days, I actually don't want to divorce you anymore. What do you think I should do? He cried, and his tears wet my back, but it was as if they had hit my heart. I turned around and hugged him tightly. And we won't get a divorce. Give me a chance to make up for it. Let time prove that I really like you. Okay? He didn't say anything. I looked up and took the initiative to kiss his lips. My hands started to get restless again. I felt my body gradually heating up, looking at the desire gradually rising in his eyes. I whispered, Do you want it? His face was flushed, and he looked at me with wet eyes. Then he closed his reddish eyes. Nina, you always bully me. The moonlight outside the window was beautiful, and the night in the room was filled with tenderness. The next day, I was suddenly woken up by the ringing of my phone. It was Leo calling. I accidentally answered it. Nina. I'm getting married. Okay. He was silent for a few seconds when he heard my calm voice. Aren't you curious about who it is? I'm not interested. I'm sleepy. I want to go back to sleep. Goodbye. I hung up the phone directly. I don't know when Andrew woke up. He looked at me quietly with a pair of eyes. You heard it all? You won't be jealous of him anymore, right? Suddenly, he hugged me tightly into his arms and buried his head in my chest, giving a soft sound. I felt a bit helpless. How insecure he must be. In the following days, to give him more security, I accompanied him every day except for work. Oh, and I also specially studied how to make soup for him. Under my careful care, his arm finally recovered. I asked Andrew, "Do you still believe that I love you?" He looked at me tenderly and said, "I believed it a long time ago." When? I was a bit surprised. He said it was when I learned to make soup for him. I had the same focused expression as when I was working. I felt a bit helpless. What kind of reason was that? Since then, our relationship has been getting better and better. And I have finally won Jocelyn over as well. Extra, Andrew's perspective. Andrew likes Nina. He likes her very much. I still remember that day my mother was especially happy. I heard that her good best friend was coming to visit and stay for a while. So in the afternoon of that day, I saw a very beautiful woman bringing a little girl named Nina. She was pink and tender. And when she smiled, there were 2 small dimples on her face, which was very endearing. My mother also liked her very much when she saw her for the first time. The first thing she said to me when she saw me was, "Brother, you are so pretty. And your eyes are so beautiful. I want to marry you when I grow up." I blushed deeply because of her extremely bold words, and couldn't say a word for a long time. The 2 women who got along very well decided on an arranged marriage for us on the spot. Since then, she has been pestering me every day, calling me brother, all the time. Although I had a serious expression on my face at that time, my heart was actually already led astray by her. Until one day they were about to leave. Little Nina looked into my eyes and said, "Brother, will you come to Zhongcheng and marry me when you grow up? I really like being with you." I reached out and touched her hair and said one word, "Okay." Since then, I inexplicably had a sense of mission to study hard and go to Zhongcheng when I grew up, because there was a soft and sweet little girl waiting for me to marry her. But when I went to Zhongcheng to find her, I found that she didn't seem to remember me. I also heard that her family had arranged a fiancé for her. I was sad for a long time and was going to go back to my hometown. But unexpectedly, she somehow got my contact information and called me, saying that she wanted to meet me. That day, looking at the girl sitting opposite me, I felt a bit emotional. The little girl was even more beautiful when she grew up. She seemed a bit unapproachable. I thought silently. Then I heard a shocking sentence from her. She said she wanted to marry me. I was stunned for a long time and subconsciously replied, "Okay." After coming to my senses, I asked, "Don't you already have a fiancé?" She said that it was arranged by her father and not the type she liked. She also said that she didn't like the feeling of having her destiny controlled by others. On the same day, I went to get the marriage certificate with her. In the few years after marriage, we got along quite well, except that she was occasionally busy and didn't care about me much. There was nothing else bad. I comforted myself silently until a man named Leo appeared beside her, and our relationship began to change. I asked Nina what her relationship with Leo was, and she said they were business partners. Did business partners need to stay out all night? She frowned and asked me in an impatient tone what I meant. At that moment, I suddenly felt an indescribable pain in my heart. As her husband, I didn't even have the right to ask one more question. Or perhaps I should have known earlier what my position was in her heart. But I just didn't want to admit it. After that day, I stopped taking the initiative. And she seemed to be getting busier and closer to that Leo. Suddenly one day, I felt so tired that I couldn't hold on anymore. I proposed a divorce to her. Although my heart was in great pain, I was afraid that she would agree. But then she hugged me and said she didn't want to leave me. Yes, had intro one session. I was somehow coaxed by her. Finally, heading fulfilled Leia. Because I saw the message sent by Leo, saying that Nina's change in attitude towards me was because she wanted to acquire the land in my hometown. I couldn't accept this fact at that time and left home. The next day, she came to apologize. I was angry and ignored her, hoping that she would coax me more. But unexpectedly, she left directly. I suddenly felt ridiculous. I actually felt that making her jealous or having her coax me a little more was a luxury. I vowed that I would never forgive her in my life. But I didn't expect that after I was injured, my aunt left directly and called Nina over. She actually seemed like a different person, starting to act shamelessly and begging for my forgiveness. But in a way, she didn't seem to have changed. Didn't she coax me like this when we were kids? The most unexpected thing was that she, who hated cooking so much, actually learned how to make soup for me. Looking at her changes these days, I can feel that she cares about me and pays attention to me. Finally, having fulfilled my accept, when I learned that Leo was getting married to someone else, she asked me if I was still jealous and if I still believed in her. I believed her at that time because the way she looks at me with love now is no different from that of the little girl in my memory. However, I also know clearly that I can't live without her. Even if one day she doesn't love me anymore, I still can't leave her. The days when we were separated were torture for me every day. I worried whether she was too busy with work to eat and if her stomach problem would flare up. Forget it. I don't want to go through all that trouble anymore. I guess I'm completely in Nina's hands for the rest of my life. The end of the full text.